So,
Yeah.
we got the current events covered.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about some past events. Let's
Past. Yeah.
kind of go
Lots of it.
over your career, how did you get started powerlifting, and then some of the highlights, your records you've held, and some
Sure.
of your all-time best lifts and things like
Yeah.
that.
Let's see. Got into powerlifting after a short stint of football. Um, College football career got cut short because of viral meningitis. Lost a lot of weight. Small school up in central Pennsylvania, PSAC school, Lock Haven University. Got back in the weight room, tried to get some of the weight back, and there's some lunkheads in there like us, Iron Warriors, whatever. And one guy said to me, yeah, you got a pretty decent bench press. You ever thought about competing? I was like, nah, it's not for me. I want to get back into football. And he actually did plant a seed in me, and I was actually done with football. I had to say, after 11 years of playing, even, Pop Warner, midget, all the pony leagues and through high school, man, I had to make some tough decisions in college, about growing up, some life decisions. Um, so, you know what? I said, you know what? I'm gonna give it a shot. I went to a non-sanctioned touch and go bench contest. I weighed in at, believe it or not, 236 pounds, and I raw touch and go 415.
Right on.
I took third place. First and second wore bench shirts. I think first place was 440, second place was like 435, and I thought, man, I almost beat these guys raw, and if I train a little bit harder, maybe I'll win one of these things. I tried to go to what was the American Drug-Free Powerlifting Association, which was started by Brother Bennett and a couple other guys, Nick Theodoro and George Hummel. That was the founding federation of the USAPL, the American Drug-Free Powerlifting Association. And I chose that because, well, I wanted to do it raw, and I wanted to do it without the use of anabolic steroids or growth hormone. I wanted to know it was me, okay?
Right.
And I chose to go to the Pennsylvania State Powerlifting Championships in Jim Thorpe, the old Jim Thorpe High School. Well, I squatted 507, weighing like 238 pounds, raw, and I'm thinking, I'm going to beat that 415-pound bench. I opened up with 407. It was kilos, my first experience. That's crazy. Math, converting kilos and pounds. Well, I opened up with 407. Well, my first experience in a 3-lift meet, after going crazy in the squats and then opening up heavy in the bench, yeah, guess what? I bombed.
Right.
My first ever sanctioned meet, I bombed. That was a long, quiet 3-hour ride home. And
Now, you're known for your deadlift. You got a great deadlift. Some of the best deadlift videos you'll ever watch if you want some entertainment, some intensity.
yeah,
So,
they're
so
entertaining.
how did your deadlift in your first meet start out?
Well, here's the thing. Back in the old days, if you bombed, which means if you didn't get a successful attempt in any of the disciplines, you didn't finish.
Huh.
You were like, see ya, thanks for coming.
Right.
So I got to squat. I failed all 3 of my bench attempts. Didn't even get the deadlift that day. So the old rule was, you were gone. You're done. Thanks for coming. So, oh man, I was so angry. And I vowed after that I would prove myself to these folks, these judges, these strict guys that, man, I deserve to be on their platform.
Well, you got to earn it,
Yeah.
the same way like, hey, we're trying to learn from guys like you who've done it for a long time. I guess it's the same thing back then.
It was old school back then. I mean, all right, it's not like your buddies in the gym, oh, Niko, you're the greatest, you're the strongest. No, when it's 3 strangers in official uniforms and, you're out on the platform and all eyes are on you, man, that was a big learning curve for me. I didn't have anybody, as a coach or anybody as a handler. And, I was pretty much the only, maybe 1 or 2, 3 power lifters at Lock Haven at the time,
So how did you get started then with mentorship and things like that in powerlifting?
Well, my very next contest was later on in that year, and man, I spent time in the calf, and spent time in the power rack, and competed in Clearfield, Pennsylvania. Al Siegel, God rest his soul, Central PA Open in Clearfield, Pennsylvania. Bigler, 1994, and took second. And I was actually in the 275s, still raw. My first 6 years of my career was all raw. I did wear knee wraps back then. That was still considered kind of like raw, knee wraps. Squatted, let's see, 551. Believe it or not, I still remember the numbers. 551, bench 429, and deadlifted 578. When I think it was like 268, 265. Took second, and at that contest, I watched a guy in the 220s. This little bulldog fire plug guy, 220 pounds, squat 705. And I was just blown away. 220, squatting 705. Now, yeah, he had a suit on and knee wraps. But for a man to come out, weighing 220 and squat 705 back then, this guy he walked the walk, talked the talk, and man, he was on a mission. You could tell he'd rather bite that bar in half rather than lift it. Yeah. And his name was Dave Schleich, and coached by a gentleman from West Side. And I've always heard about West Side, and man, just watched how he handled himself. And the next year, going back to ADFPA States, 95, I saw him again. And this time he squatted 711. And I videotaped it. And man, this was just, I just had to take this opportunity and take a chance and introduce myself. And boy, I was very fortunate that gentleman just took a moment of his time to say hello and, just listen to a young kid. I was just a young kid, getting started in the sport. And man, I'll never forget those days. It wasn't until after I came back from Worlds, because I was successful at PA States in 95, went to Junior Nationals, kind of tried to stay in touch with him, and he did. He was like a farmer, man. He planted seeds, kept planting seeds in me, and man, I'll expand on it here in a little bit, but man, that was right there. That was the start. Dave Schleich, watching him master that squat at 220 pounds, man, that was just something I was in awe about. Yeah. So, yeah.
Something you said, I want to do that. I want to master the game.
Just like he did. The mental focus, the discipline, the form, the technique. Now, like I said, he was in gear, but, man, it was just that intensity that he had, that mental fortitude that you knew it was a done lift before it even came out of the rack. Yeah. And it was just that intense. I mean, I get goosebumps still talking about it, A little sawed up, and Marine, okay. And I'm telling you, he wrote an article about me that got published in Powerlifting USA, old magazine, Powerlifting USA, Mike Lambert out in California, and I think it got published in like 1999. And man, when I went out to Western PA for my first trip out there to be mentored and be trained and see what this guy was all about, he left me on purpose a crumpled mass of flesh in the middle of the gym floor. And I knew it was a test. I just knew it was a test. And I'm like, man, this guy, if I live through this training, this is the guy I want to be under. Yeah. And it was just like that. Yeah. It was cool. It was just awe-inspiring. I'll never forget it, and I pledge everything that I've done within this sport, besides my wife being my support and literally my backbone, to him.